Welcome to the Oily Underground Nutrition Edition. Isn't that fun to say? If you are watching this for the first time, I think most of you guys have been here before, but if not, hello, welcome. As always, we're not claiming to be the number one profession area that we speak on, but we do think we're pretty well educated with level heads. And so the information is just information. It is not prescriptive. It is not us telling you exactly how you should live. It's for you to be fully empowered in decision making. So take that, everything we say with a grain of salt. And if you disagree with it, disagree politely. That kind of leads me into the chat box. We would be more than happy for you guys to light up the chat box if there's things that you hear and you're like, oh, that was really good. Write it in the comments, because a lot of times it's helpful for people who are maybe taking notes, or they maybe haven't, they were stepped out of the room for a minute and they come back and trying to read through and kind of see what they missed. If you can throw stuff in the chat box, that's really helpful. You can also throw questions in the chat box. Me, Sarah Loveland, and Sarah Jones will kind of be trolling the chat box and making sure everything's getting answered and whatnot. And we can always go back through at the end and see. Feel free to ask questions along the way. I think that's about it. If you, let's see. Yeah, no, I think we're good. So we'll just jump right into this. Nutrition 101. I was sharing a little bit about this on my Instagram stories yesterday, and I feel like nutrition is a hot button word that gets thrown around a lot, and it's thrown around in a way that people do it to like get followers or get you to buy their program or get you to buy their product or whatever. And I'm not saying that programs, products, that those things don't work, but it has become one of those buzzwords. And so I say that to kind of clue you into this kind of behind the scenes world that's going on, where everybody's an expert right now on things. And you can really get trapped into, because it worked for them, it should work for everybody kind of thing. And so that's really what this call is about, is debunking a lot of like the extremes, or the trends and the fads that have been around for a while or are relatively new, just so that, like I said, you guys can make well-informed decisions and be fully empowered in your nutrition, and kind of not get so frustrated because when you're stuck in such an extreme, you got to do it this way, but it's not working for your body. You think your body's broken when really it's the program or the system that's broken, and it's not working for your body because your body's like, I can't do those things, okay? Stop it. So that's what tonight is all about. I will probably say things that will ruffle feathers. I'm okay with that. They ruffled my feathers hardcore when I first heard them. But then after really digging into them, really looking through with a willing mind to be changed, I was like, oh, okay, yep, this makes sense, and this is better for my body. So kind of going back to what I said, love to be ruffled. Good. If you feel ruffled, feel free to explain it in the comments and say like, oh, that's hard for me to hear. And just do it politely, okay? All right, first up. So this is kind of going to be the rundown so you can know what to expect. First, we're going to be debunking. We're going to debunk different things. That's probably where the most rufflage will get going. Then we're going to be talking about how to be savvy at the store, how to shop smartly, kind of it's not going to be, I can't really get super in-depth into all of these. You're going to get a bird's eye view of all of them, and walk away with enough information to do more digging if you want to. So we'll be talking about how to shop at the store. Then we're going to talk about, okay, now you're back at home and you're eating. How can you take your nutrition into your own hands at home? And then we're going to be talking about just like some ways to help support your body outside of food as well, kind of like a roundup of some of my favorite products that work really, really well. And I remembered I didn't write one down, so hold on, let me take that one, don't forget about it. So that's where we're going. All right, first up, debunking. I think the number one thing that needs to be debunked is calories. And by calories, I mean calorie restricting as a form of weight maintenance or body fat loss, body fat composition changes. Calorie restricting is incredibly damaging to your body for a number of reasons. This one might not be so shocking. I think this is kind of a new trend. A lot of people are like, whoa, our parents, my mom's generation was like, well, if I want to lose weight, I'll just eat 900 calories a day. And that worked for them until they were 30, and then they hit 30 and their metabolisms couldn't keep up with that. Because their metabolisms weren't getting enough nutrition to function anymore, because your metabolism needs calories to run, to burn calories. And so then in their 30s, they started gaining weight like crazy, couldn't figure out why their 900 calories a day weren't having them lose weight anymore, got frustrated, bought every fad pill thing that you could think of, and then eventually just gave up because none of it worked, right? You probably know somebody that way, or feel like you've been, in that cycle. So calorie restricting is not a great way to do it. In the long term, what happens is it slows down your metabolism. And basically what it does is when you long-term deplete your body of calories, which are your, basically your fuel. Just think of calories as fuel, right? And we'll talk more. I know there's macros and proteins and fats, and those go into that. But right now we're just straight up talking about like how much you consume a day calorie wise. If you are eating under that, an amount that's healthy and normal, most women probably need, if they don't get up off of the couch, this is a very rough estimate, so take it with a grain of salt. If they don't get up off the couch and don't do anything all day, they probably need about 1,500 calories a day just to exist, period. Anything you do outside of just existing, you need to bump up your calorie intake. Personally, I have to eat 2,200 calories a day, just to kind of give you a rough idea. And that's just to maintain weight. If I'm trying to like bulk up, I have to obviously eat more. But anyways, so if you're long-term depleting your body of calories, what happens is you actually end up telling your body to hold on to fat, because your body will start to try and basically store fat as a way to protect itself, because it's like, if we're going into a long haul starvation, I need to bulk up fat as much as I can so that when the food runs out, I'll at least have fat to burn through. And that's really hard on your body, because eventually what happens is you also will start to burn through your muscle. Basically what happens is your body has to, without getting super sciencey, your body has to start eating through your muscle tissue to be able to fuel yourself enough to continue living and existing. That process is called catabolism. It's breaking down muscle tissue and starting to eat that. It also will produce stress hormones. It can use stress hormones as a source of fuel. Those stress hormones are great in very short, acute circumstances, like you're being chased by a bear through the woods kind of thing. Otherwise, those stress hormones long-term will also slow down your metabolism, which eventually will shut down your organ systems, and it's kind of this cascaded effect. There's a really cool study. I don't have the citation for it. I'm really sorry, but if you go digging, I'm sure you can find it. Does anybody have a question? Okay. They did a study that showed, they followed, I think it was like 7 or 8 people who starved themselves for 11 days straight. Then they came back and they ate whatever they needed to feel full. And what they found was the people had to basically double their caloric intake for about, if I can remember rightly, it was like 2 to 3 weeks. And so they kind of started here. They lost a ton of weight. This was, they weren't eating anything. Then they had to raise how much they were eating. And then their weight jumped up by, whatever per body, or each person gained like 10 to 20 pounds. But then because they were eating enough to re-nourish, basically make up the difference for the lost calories they had, what happened was their weight ended up coming back down and going back to normal. But what happens when we do long-term calorie restriction, they just did this for 11 days, right? When we do this for years and years and years, what they had happen was their body weight spiked up, but then came back down to normal when their body was able to get out of that stress pattern. But when we do this lifelong, what happens is our body goes up and up and up and up, but can never come back down to normal because we never let it basically re-nourish itself so that it can go back down to that safe zone, which is why long-term calorie restriction ends up in this, I'm gaining weight no matter what I do. And it's because kind of that cascade of events. So that's the first thing we're debunking. Next two that I want to debunk, what order do I want to go in? I guess I'll start with intermittent fasting. I personally do still do intermittent fasting. I do not do intermittent fasting for weight loss. Not that I don't think it works, but I do it for basically metabolic performance, if that makes sense. What's happened is people have found, if you don't want to know what intermittent fasting is, it's basically you have a window of time, anywhere from 12 to 18. I've seen some people do 20 hours of the day where you don't eat, but in the outside of that window of time that you're not eating, you can eat anything you want. Doesn't matter. You can eat a whole bunch of calories. It doesn't matter, as long as in that, 18-hour window between whatever 4 p.m. in one day and then 11 a.m. the next morning, as long as you're not eating, that's considered intermittent fasting. There's more to it, but that's a rough picture of it in case you've never heard of it. And so what people are finding is that I like food too much for that, same girl. They're finding that people are losing weight, and that's great because it's easy. They don't feel like they're restricting their calories during the day because they're able to eat whatever they want. But the problem is your body actually registers this when you're doing it long term, day in, day out, for months and months and months on end. Your body registers this the same way as it would register calorie restricting. And we just talked about kind of that whole cascade of events, how that's not great. So that same cascade of events will happen for people who are using long-term intermittent fasting. The trouble is the people who like intermittent fasting, they like it for there are benefits. It's great for helping control your blood sugar. It's great for boosting your metabolism to have kind of this digestive rest state. It's great for like bacterial things. There's like tons and tons of things that are really beneficial about intermittent fasting. And so people will sing its praises day in and day out. But the problem is they're not talking about like the 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. And what's happening is people who are doing this day in and day out long term feel amazing for about a year. And then because they've been restricting their calories for so long, their body starts to shut down. Their metabolism gives up. Your metabolism needs calories in order to function. If you are not giving it enough, it cannot do its jobs. And metabolism doesn't just mean how fast is your food breaking down, how well are you digesting. It means your cellular metabolism, how well are your cells functioning from head to toe in every part of your body, because those need nutrition too. So the long term, it's not great. However, like I said, I personally still I'll do about 1 day a week. I will do intermittent fasting because it does have a lot of great, like I said, benefits: blood sugar, metabolism, digestive rest, all of those things. Great. I want those benefits. I don't want to pay the cost later. And I also don't want to use it as a way of weight loss. That's not healthy, because eventually when you start eating again, you'll just gain weight. And like we said, kind of with that study that they found, if you're just going to rise, that plateaus, it's going to get higher and higher. You're just going to keep gaining weight. So that's the second one we're debunking. Sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice. The next one is keto. I know this one might get roughly. Bear with me. Keto is also another one that's really, really awesome short term. Has incredible studies for what it does for your body. Great for blood sugar. It's a really good diet for diabetics, especially if they're needing to get their blood sugar under control because they're sky high. And I know that sometimes for diabetics, it's maybe more of a long-term thing that is a little bit better for them. So maybe take them out of the picture of what I'm talking about and, just kind of keep that in mind. But as pretty much on the whole, for a normal person who's got, pretty normal body functions, even if you've got a few things going wrong here and there, your body needs carbohydrates. First of all, your liver primarily needs you to eat carbohydrates every single day. And it needs you to eat enough carbohydrates, because that is a major source of fuel for your liver. Your liver is responsible for 500 different processes in your body. If your liver is not getting enough carbohydrate to do those 500 processes, what it will start doing is if you were here a little bit ago, we talked about it will create stress hormones. And it will start to eat basically those stress hormones. That's a really dumbed down way to say it, but it will cause your body to produce stress hormones in order to eat. It will also start to break down muscle tissue to try and get fuel from your muscle tissue as well. And so in the long run, what happens is your liver starts to suffer and not be able to do a lot of the things it's supposed to. Two of the biggest things is your liver actually plays a big role in blood sugar control. Your liver also plays a really, really big role in, big role in thyroid hormone production. Your liver processes and synthesizes certain parts of thyroid hormone so that they come together and you have the thyroid hormone that you need for your metabolism to function properly. And then the third thing that it does is it detoxifies. I guess that was 3, not 2. So those are 3 huge pieces of just living well every single day. But if you are not giving your liver enough carbs, it cannot do all 3 of those. It might pick one of them to stick with, but eventually somewhere it's going to flop. The problem is some people do it for a long time and they feel really, really great for a long time. So they're convinced it's good for them. Just because you feel really great for a while does not mean that long-term it goes well. Because like I said, all of those things are going to start happening eventually, which is why women will do it for 2 years. And then all of a sudden they're like, I'm developing weird wrinkles. My hair is falling out all the time. My skin is super dry. I can't build muscle anymore. It's because internally, all of the pieces of metabolism, digestion and cellular, are no longer functioning the way they're supposed to, and in the long term, they start to gain weight. The other thing that's really tricky about it is if you do not eat carbs consistently, when you do go back to eating carbs, your body has kind of like, you know how like when you ride a bike, they say you'll never lose it? It's not this way with carbs. Like you could just jump up and ride a bike. Your body can't just jump right back into digesting carbs the way it did before you cut them out. It kind of has to relearn, and that's a longer process. And so what happens is it causes you to gain more weight because your body is not digesting those carbs the way that it's supposed to. You trained it to stop doing it. So now it's like, whoa, what's a carb? I don't even know how to break that down anymore. So in the long run, again, we're talking a year, 2 years down the road, you've done your body a disservice because now it doesn't even know how to digest a carb when you have it, which is why people who try and come off keto have carbs and they're like, oh, I feel so terrible. I clearly need to stay keto forever. And it's like, well, no, you just told your body to stop processing and it did. And now it doesn't remember how to. Okay. The next one is not really, it's not really a diet like intermittent fasting or keto, but it's something I see in a lot of nutrition programs, maybe is a way to say it. And this is diets that are really high in cruciferous vegetables. So if you're not sure what a cruciferous vegetable is, let me help you. I'm talking kale, cabbage, sprouts, like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. I'm really talking mostly about these 2 in this next little snippet. Broccoli and cauliflower, kohlrabi, and collards. So here's the thing. I feel like I could just be on a soapbox all night. Specifically broccoli and cauliflower, because those 2, broccoli, cauliflower, and then also kale, spinach. I think those 4 kind of are all grouped into this. They are really good. They have a lot of really amazing properties. The problem is people are using cauliflower for everything, right? Cauliflower pizza crust, cauliflower rice. They're pounding tons and tons and tons of broccoli. They're having these massive kale smoothies every single day, and then they're putting spinach in every single thing that they're eating. Those vegetables are really beneficial to your body, but the problem is, first of all, anytime you're eating a food in abundance, it's not even great, okay? Your body needs things in moderation. So that in and of itself should just be like your number 1 rule. Everything in moderation. If you have cauliflower every single day, back it down a little bit. Even if you're not trying to do that because of a diet reason, just stop it. So first of all, if they are poorly cooked, what happens is they become very difficult for your body to digest. These things are very high in fiber, which is good. The problem is fiber can be difficult to digest if you have too much of it. If you have too much fiber that you're not able to digest, what happens is it sits and basically lurks in your digestive system and causes it to ferment inside of your body. So we're talking anytime you're fermenting in your body, one, you're totally changing the bacterial balance in your gut. 2, you're going to feel more bloated. You're going to have constipation. You're going to be gassy. Any of those things can kind of run the gamut. Or you can start having like indigestion issues because now the food that you're putting in on top is having a hard time getting past this like fermented mess of extra fiber from all these cruciferous vegetables that you've been pounding. So because that transit time is slower, what happens is you also are losing the ability to poop out the digestive thing or the toxins that are getting pulled through your digestive system. So kale and spinach specifically are great for their basically detoxifying properties. But the problem is if you can't poop out, because it pulls it into your poop so you can poop out the toxins. If you are pulling those toxins in with all these cruciferous veggies, but then they get stuck there, now you not only have overgrowing bacterial fermented problems, now you've just thrown poop into the mix. That's terrible. That's such a concoction for poor digestive health. And then kind of going back to part of the reason people get so excited about kale and broccoli and all these kinds of things and eat them in abundance is because they're low carb. People are really into low carb for a long time. And so we know that if you've been low carb for a long time, your liver is not functioning anymore. And so we've just added to this cascade of issues of gut mess, need to detoxify, can't detoxify because my liver is also now thrown out the window for its functioning as a detoxifying organ. So you really want to take nutrition. How much is too much with this type of fiber? That's a great question. If somebody wants to I would think it's probably going to be based on activity, like lifestyle activity, and then are you working out, how much water are you consuming, and then like body composition. So it's not like I can just give a number out, like everybody's going to need a little bit different. Yeah, it's hard to measure for sure. So that might be something that you can take and kind of Google how much fiber is a good idea for me. And don't just take the first number they throw at you. Like if the American Heart Association is throwing it out, find like 6 other places and, kind of vet your sources. The other reason that cruciferous vegetables are hard on your system is because they are really high in a thing called oxazolidone. Oxazolidone. Okay. So basically those oxazolidones are okay in a small-ish amount, but if you eat too much of them, they actually have an anti-thyroid effect, which causes your body to not be able to uptake iodine, meaning that it's not able to produce thyroid hormones the way that it's supposed to. Your thyroid regulates a ton of things in your body, including metabolism, weight, those kinds of things. So obviously we don't want to be overdoing it on cruciferous vegetables and slowing down our body's ability to uptake iodine and produce thyroid hormone. So those are the things I'm debunking. Saying again, I know some people may do this and love it and feel amazing. That's great. So if you're somebody who's saying, I do this all the time and I feel totally fine, and I've been doing it for a long time and I feel fine, I would like to ask you to do a full body survey, because maybe you have really, really good energy. And so that's what you're quantifying as I feel really, really fine. Or maybe you don't feel as much indigestion after meals as you used to feel anymore. But that is not those are not like the end all be all. If you've accomplished those, everything else is fine. So I'm going to give you a list of things to run through and just kind of give yourself some checks. Like, okay, maybe that's not feeling good, because these are all can be signs that maybe your metabolism, the bottom is falling out from underneath you, even though you feel great because you have lots of energy. So I hope that's making sense. Still doesn't mean you are oxalate detoxing properly, even if you feel good. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so things that are showing that maybe your metabolism is saying, please stop weird diets. First of all, chronic weight gain. If you're having to change your diet all the time because you're chronically gaining weight, your body's telling you something. If you have difficulty losing weight, maybe you maintain it, but if you're like, I want to drop 5 pounds, you can never drop 5 pounds. If you find that you work out, but it completely zaps you, and you're like, I have to work out at night because as soon as I'm done working out, I crash. Even if I take a pre-workout afterwards, I'm tanked. Other things, do you have normal periods? Are they too heavy? Are they too light? Do you even have one? Is it irregular? Is it super symptomatic? Wake and sleep cycles. Do you have a regular circadian rhythm? When you're sleeping, are you getting good quality of sleep, meaning you're not tossing and turning like a flopping fish in bed? How about brain clarity? Do you have good memory recall, or are you having memory issues? Do you have the inability to focus, or do you have brain fog? How are your energy levels through the day? Are they consistent? You rise, you wake up, and you have good energy throughout the day until you go to bed at night. Are you bloated? Are you constipated? Or do you have like bowel irregularity? Like sometimes I go at 7 p.m. at night, and sometimes I go at 8 a.m. in the morning, and sometimes I have to like sprint out the door and stop at a gas station because all of a sudden it's happening now. How's your hair and your skin? Do you find that you have brittle nails? Is your skin really dry? Is your hair really brittle and falling out all the time? What is your mental and emotional health? Do you have really bad anxiety? Do you have crazy mood swings? AKA, all of these things that I just listed can be signs of nutritional deficiency that are not just digestion and weight related. So if you've done these things in the past and you said, but I feel great, Brooke-Ann, run yourself through that system. And if you can pass all of those, that's pretty amazing, actually. We can talk later. Again, eventually your body cannot keep up with it. You might have a body that is tough it out for a long time, but you'll pay the price in the end. So that's that. All right, now let's move into kind of how to be savvy at the store. This is one that I don't feel like I have to be, I'll do a good job, obviously. I'm not going to cheapskate, but this is one that people are really wise about now. So there are numerous accounts, numerous apps, numerous websites that you can go through that can really give you a good idea of how to read labels and what to steer clear from. So I'm just going to kind of give you, like I said earlier, a bird's eye view of it, of how to be savvy at the store. So first, start reading labels. If you haven't before, start doing it. Get used to flipping every freaking thing you pick up, turn it over and look at the back until you have found your products and you can grab them and not worry about them. But even then, I would say in a year, come back and check because they might have got bought out by, somebody that doesn't care about ingredient quality anymore. So anyways, that's a different issue. First of all, stay away from things. Additives and preservatives are just an absolute travesty to your nutritional health because they go in and they basically act like splinters in your digestive tract, for lack of a better way to describe it, and they don't come out. It takes a lot for them to come out. And so what's happening is they're basically, if you think of a splinter in your digestive tract and you've got your whole digestive tract, your stomach is lined with all of these toxins and your body's like trying to get nutrition and nutrients and vitamins and minerals into the spaces that all of these little slivers are at. Your body's not going to be able to get the nutrients it needs. And so you're just going to eventually just poop all your nutrients out because your body can't even get them in. And then, that was my next thing too. These little splinters eventually cause leaky gut syndrome, which is basically the contents of your stomach leak out into your body, not into the bloodstream where they're supposed to go. They like leak out into, basically what happens is they leak, your body's like foreign invader, red alert. There's contents of stomach floating around. We need to go into lockdown, and this furthers the issue of metabolism. We have a whole gut health series. Go watch that because that is a whole nother thing. So things to stay away from. I will give you this list semi-slowly if you need to write it down, or you can watch the replay. We'll post it on the Oily Underground YouTube. So these are some of the additives and preservatives that I will not touch with a 10-foot pole. Sodium benzoate, potassium sorbate, sodium nitrite, high fructose corn syrup. That's actually probably the top of my list. Any food coloring. I just don't. Why do we need food coloring? Food doesn't have to be pretty to taste good. It's all in our head. Carrageenan, you're going to find that in a lot of almond milk, the dairy-free milk options. PUFAs, which are polyunsaturated fats. Basically, polyunsaturated fats are like one molecule away from being a rancid fat that once ingested gets into your body and turns into a rancid fat, and your body is like, oh, that's something that's inflammatory. Red alert. Go on the lockdown. Slow down metabolism. Inflammation through the roof. Things that are notorious for this are seed oils. So safflower, sunflower seed oil, corn oil, canola, palm oil, vegetable oil. They're all notorious polyunsaturated fats. Also good to know that nut butters are also really high in polyunsaturated fats. So if you've been pounding almond butter thinking it's a really healthy choice, all things in moderation, a tablespoon here and there, your body can handle it. If you're eating it 2 and 3 times a day and scoops on scoops on scoops, your body is probably inflamed because of the amount of PUFAs that you've introduced to it. So some things that I want to put poll. Also, thank you for saying mold because I skipped one to come back to it. Citric acid is actually one that's really interesting because if it's not sourced from a if it is sourced from a GMO source, there can be issues with mycotoxins, which are basically tiny little fungus issues, like fungal toxins, basically. So citric acid is one that I put on my list too, to just, if it doesn't say, and 9 times out of 10, I almost never see it say non-GMO source, I'll just steer clear of it, if possible. And these are not like die on this hill. Once in a while, you know, I might go to a birthday party and have something with food coloring in it, but it's just be aware of it. If you're buying something every time you go to the store, your whole cart is full of these, then you have. Other thing about labels, don't be greenwashed. So greenwashing, if you're not aware, is basically where the wording on a bottle or the pictures on a bottle or a package make you think, it's like a subliminal trick that make you think, oh, this is healthy. For example, if you see an all-white bottle of laundry detergent with a green leaf on it, your brain automatically is like, that's a cleaner option because it's not bright orange like Tide. But that does not necessarily mean it is actually a cleaner option. Marketing companies, literally this is their job, to figure out how to market to the human brain and trick it into buying their product, right? So don't be greenwashed with your food because they can also do this with your food. Things like the label non-GMO, organic, or gluten-free, although those can be a good sign, you're maybe moving in the right direction, they can also be a greenwashing. Have you ever gone to a store and picked up a bag of apples and seen it say gluten-free? I have. And I'm like, of course this is a gluten-free thing. Why are you labeling it? Because they have learned, oh, people will buy that because it's gluten-free. Gluten's bad for you. I'll buy the apples that are gluten-free and not these other apples. It's just a marketing scheme. The things about these, you know, the non-GMO, organic, gluten-free, as much as those aren't, don't buy glutinous apples. Correct. The problem is that those might be true, but what's also in the label? So sure, maybe the ingredients are all organic, but does it have tons and tons of sugar in it to make it taste good? Sometimes, even if it's gluten-free, there can be tons of additives. There's just not gluten, so that's good, but you've got, you know, sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate, all these things in there. They can still also be really, really low in nutrient density, which we're going to get to in a little bit. Goodness, I just checked the time. They can still be really low in nutrient density, meaning that, you know, you're eating the calories, but you're not getting any nutrients. So it's like a wash. Like I'd like my calories to count. Another example is eggs, cage-free eggs. For example, I'm not going to get to all the different types of chicken classifications, but cage-free means literally nothing. Cage-free means they can be stuck in a barn and never see an ounce of daylight the entirety of their life and be stacked on top of each other, but they're not in cages. So they're cage-free, but they slap it on a label because people think, oh, these are good, healthy chickens who have good living environments. They're not in a cage, but doesn't matter. They're still in horrible living conditions. It's just they're not in cages. So that's what greenwashing is. Flip your labels over, get good at reading them. That's your best bet. Look for nutrient-dense food. This is something that I'm not going to get too deep into because, my Lord, I've already been going for a half hour, you poor souls. Nutrient density basically means that for the amount of calories you're consuming, there is as much nutrient quality or more for that. Yeah, buy local. That's a great choice too, Mandy. Thanks for throwing that in there. I really appreciate that. So basically, more nutrients, fewer calories. That doesn't necessarily mean, like, an avocado is really high in calories, but it's also really high in other good nutrients. So that's not a hard and fast rule where it's like fewer calories. I guess I don't want you guys to think fewer calories means look for low calorie items. I'm just saying that per calorie, you're getting more nutrients because you could eat an avocado, which is like 250 calories, and get all of these different nutrients, or you can go eat 3 handfuls of cheese puffs, get 250 calories, and get nothing, not even any nutrients. So that's kind of what nutrient density is. So how to look for foods that are nutrient dense. Flip it over again and start to look for foods that contain vitamins, minerals, complex carbohydrates. So those provide more than just glucose. That's basically your body turns carbs into glucose. Glucose feeds your brain, it feeds your liver. So complex carbs provide more than just glucose. They also have vitamins and minerals as well. Look for things that are like lean protein, so not super, super fatty. And if they are fatty, try and choose things that have like healthier fats. Example, avocado, that's a good healthy fat. Another thing for your label reading is to learn to calculate the sugar-calorie ratio. And it's not hard. Basically, for every 100 calories, you want to have 10 grams of sugar or less. So kombucha, super healthy, right? People love it. Also, kombucha is great if you don't have gut bacteria dysregulation. If your gut bacteria is like really messed up, sometimes kombucha might not be the solution until you've taken care of that with like an actual probiotic. That's a whole nother situation because like, yeah, candida and stuff, get rid of that first, then start drinking kombucha. Anyways, kombucha is supposed to be really good, right? But if you flip it over and it has 80 calories per serving, but in those 80 calories, there's actually 16 grams of sugar, steer clear of it. You're getting more sugar that's harder on your body. So even though you're drinking good kombucha, the sugar is hard on your body because it's just too much. So every 100 calories, do 10 grams of sugar or less. If it has more than that 10 grams, probably safer bet to just put it back. And then the last little bit about label reading is just try and find something that has whole foods in it. So if you're seeing a bunch of chemical names that you don't understand, more often than not, you don't need them. You can find something else that has whole foods in it, like straight, just names like tomato. Okay, I know what a tomato is. Sodium benzoate, I don't know what that is. Where do you get that? So if you can find something, the fewer there, like the smaller number and the more whole food names you realize, that's a really good label to shoot for buying. So that's that. All right, I'm going to take a drink before I jump into nutrition at home. Okay. Nutrition at home. I think I'll come back to this. Well, I won't because I'm going to forget. This is kind of a weird place to start. I should have moved this in my outline, but we'll just talk about it now. So something that's actually a really good place to start when you are unlearning bad diet fads, specifically like calorie counting or carb restricting, or if you're maybe from a little bit older generation, they were really against fats. Fats were going to make you fat. Fats don't make you fat. They make you feel full, so you don't eat as much. I digress. I would really actually encourage you guys to, first of all, track your macros. Not that you need to do this lifelong, but it gives you a good idea of where you're at and how much you're actually consuming of each food group. So macros are carbs, fats, and proteins. Carb calculators are on the internet everywhere. I have a link for just a second that I'll share. They're not hard to do, but they really do give you a good idea of where you're supposed to be at, because the macro calculators will also tell you about how many calories you're supposed to be getting. And they basically say to have enough calories, you need to eat, 30% fat, 40% carb, 30% protein, or whatever. There's different ratios for different body weights and types. So those don't hyper focus on those numbers. You can find your own. But it just is a good place to start learning to basically eat yourself healthy. And especially of note, if you are coming out of this diet culture and trying to heal your body, let your body gain at least 10 to 20 pounds of healing weight. Basically, what's going to happen is your body, in order to renourish, might have to gain a little bit of weight before it can settle out and drop off, so that it basically renourishes, and that's just how it does it. It just needs to gain weight for some time. So give yourself about 10 to 20 pounds of fluctuation before you start to see it drop off, because it just might be what it needs to do to heal. So if you want a calculator that was pretty easy to use, you just have to have a rough idea of what your body mass fat is, or your body body mass index. There it is, your BMI. If you have a roughish estimate of that, you can get some numbers to work with. It is called, the acronym is if it fits my macros, or if it fits your macros, sorry. It's IIFYM. Actually, let me just type it. Oh, Bree is on it. So IIFYMwomen.com/calculators. And you can plug it in there and it kind of walks you through it. And that's a really good place to start. Just start figuring out, am I actually getting enough protein? Maybe you're not. Maybe that's why you're not building muscle the way that you want to. Am I getting enough carbs to have sustained energy? Maybe you're not. Maybe that's why you're so tired all the time, is you just don't have enough carbs throughout the day. Are you getting carbs with every meal? You need to have consistent carbohydrates. You can't eat them once in the morning and call it a day. You need to eat them consistently so your liver's staying fueled throughout the day. With that being said, I don't want anybody to think that, well, I'm eating in my macros, but you're living on pieces of fudge and Cheetos. So yeah, sure, maybe those fit in your macros, but they're still low in nutrient density. They're not going to nourish your body. So don't abuse the macro calculator. Still choose nutrient dense foods while you're doing that. Yeah, that was kind of random where I put that in the timeline, but it is okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is let's stop demonizing food groups. I've talked a lot about carbs, so maybe I'll give it a break for a second and come back to it. But let's talk about something that's actually is kind of a movement in the right direction. I'm actually really excited. Milk. A lot of people are truly sensitive or allergic or intolerant to pasteurized and processed milk, which is very different nutritionally than raw milk. Raw milk is actually very healing for your gut. Raw milk is loaded with enzymes that your body needs. It's loaded with good bacteria that your body needs. It has way more nutrient, vitamin, mineral content than pasteurized milk. Basically, pasteurization changes the chemical structure of milk so that it is damaging. For me, I cannot do store-bought milk. My hormones will flip out within days. I will be a mess. I stopped drinking milk and having cheese. I stopped having so many period issues. Just to kind of give you an idea. A lot of people cut out milk and stop having migraines, which is crazy. Somebody just asked where can you get raw milk. That depends on the state. State of Michigan, you have to, oh, cool, thanks, Bree, rawmilk.org. State of Michigan, you have to buy it through a herd share. Basically, you pay somebody to sustain a cow. You pay them like $25 a month. Then, you're helping take care of the cow, and then you can get the whatever comes off of that cow, meaning milk. Other places, you can just go find it at a store and buy it. So it's just very state to state, but it sounds like Bree's on it for that website, rawmilk.org, for you to look it up. Another one to stop demonizing is, I mean this very lightly. This one I do think you need to be pretty cautious about. But gluten, I think, does get thrown under the bus, maybe for more people than needs to be, because the gluten that's in our conventional system is trash. It's terrible. It's been genetically modified. It's not even really chemically what it's supposed to look like, what it used to look like for our ancestors. It's not great at all. The other thing is, are you truly sensitive to gluten, or are you sensitive to a GMO gluten that's been loaded with glyphosate, which is like a pesticide, and it's the combination of the two that is causing you to have a gluten intolerance or a gluten sensitivity. Now, I know there's true blue gluten issues, and gluten is one that even if you're not truly allergic or sensitive to, I personally would stay pretty clear of it, just because it is notoriously like a sliver. And so maybe your body's a little bit more hardy to that sliver, but after a period of time, your body can only keep up with so many slivers before inflammation runs you over. So So if you're gonna do gluten, that's great. Try and do things that are either have like pre-broken down gluten, which is like a sourdough bread, and you can take sourdough dough and turn it into anything: noodles, pie crusts, cookie dough, pizza, because it's like already kind of like broken down basically the protein structure of gluten so that it's easier on your body. Or just make sure that the gluten you're getting is more like an ancient grain form. So like einkorn. Einkorn is a really good grain that's more of a true to what it was originally created as. It hasn't been modified to the nth degree. So it's just a better form for you. A better form of gluten if you're going to go there. But so that's one that just be careful with gluten. I don't think you need to demonize it, but be smart about it, I guess is really what I want to say. So going back to carbs, I'm sorry, you guys. Especially as women, I feel like carbs, everybody's like, oh, I can't eat carbs. I can't eat carbs or I gain weight. Well, let's talk a little bit more about carbs tonight. I promise I love them. They're not bad. First of all, complex carbs are better. So don't just eat white sugar because, yeah, that's a carb, but white sugar doesn't provide you any mineral density. There's no nutrient value in it. So again, we talked about complex carbs are things that are going to have a little bit more nutrient density. Do I have a list? I thought I did. Maybe I don't. You Google like what a good complex carb is. Whole wheat things, those are better carb forms than just like white bread versus whole wheat bread. That's kind of the idea. With having a complex carb. So just make sure you're also choosing, if you're eating sugars, choose smart sugars. Your body can use sugar as a carb. Don't just dump white sugar on anything. Also, don't assume that sweeteners, you can just replace sugar with sweeteners. That's not a great option because your body still gets used to the taste of sweet things. It doesn't actually help you cut out sugar in the long run. That's a whole nother story. So just don't overdo it on like stevia sweeteners kind of thing. Have them once in a while, but just, use them sparingly. And going back to choosing smart sugars, do things like honey, do things like maple syrup, do raw sugar if you're going to do it like in baking and whatnot. But try and steer clear of, the processed bleached white sugars. Let's see. Another thing about carbs is make sure that you're getting enough protein to balance them out. Basically, if you're eating really bad carbs or if you're eating too many in comparison to the rest of your nutrition profile, like your fats and your protein intake, or if you're eating carbs, but your body is also using catabolic hormones, so you're in a nutrient depleted state and your body is using those stress hormones as fuel instead of glucose, your body's going to store those carbs as weight, which is why you can say, well, I work out all the time and I only eat 900 calories a day, but if I even look at a donut, I gain 5 pounds. Well, right, because the minute you eat the donut, your body's in such a stressed out state, it's going to store that donut as weight to protect itself. It needs that. It's like it's trying to self-preserve. So that's why so many people demonize carbs, is because they're like, well, if I lick a piece of pasta, I gain weight. Well, right, your body is telling you it's in dire straits and it needs help, not that you need to cut out carbs. It can also be a sign too if you have a hard time. We a little bit talked about how your body has a hard time processing carbs if you've been nutrient depleted or calorie depleted, but your body can also have a hard time breaking down carbs if you're eating too many polyunsaturated fats because of the inflammatory process they have. You can have a hard time breaking down carbs. If you have bacterial issues, so overgrowths or imbalances in your stomach will cause your body to have a hard time accurately utilizing and processing carbs. Or if you're severely depleted in minerals and vitamins. So sure, maybe you eat well, you get enough calories, proteins, carbs, fats, but you're so nutrient, meaning mineral and vitamin depleted, that your body is going to have a hard time actually digesting too, because you need minerals and vitamins to, function thoroughly. So, let's see. So that's kind of the stop demonizing food groups of the three big ones that get demonized. I feel like fat isn't as demonized anymore, which is why I didn't bring it up, but fat is good. If you're wondering, don't demonize it. The next thing I want to talk about, and this one's really quick, is just good a good way to eat to help you have better blood sugar control. So you can actually eat your food in a process, like in a step-by-step process that will help your body have better blood sugar control, which means better appetite regulation, and basically just do yourself a favor to eat intelligently, basically, so that you're getting the most out of it. So it starts with like your fibers and your fats first. So fiber, like think of your veggies and whatnot, like those fibrous kind of things first. Then eat your protein and eat your carbs and sugars at the end of the meal. You can Google these, like how to eat for blood sugar control. I'm not going to talk a ton about them, but it's just good to know that you can do this. Sarah said, say that again. So like your fats and fibers first. So like avocado would be a fat, whatever. The fat's not like hardcore. It's mostly the fiber. So like vegetables and stuff, you want to eat those first. Then your protein second. And then you want to do your carbs last. And basically the whole thing is so that your body is utilizing the carb last. For whatever reason, your body just does better with blood sugar that way. I'm not trying to get super sciencey about it. The next thing you can do is in the first 90 minutes after a meal is just do 10 minutes of some sort of physical exercise, a walk, whole bunch of squats, a whole bunch of push-ups, a really quick little intense yoga session, anything you can do to stay active, a little more than just like putzing around the house. Within that first 90 minutes, it basically helps your body utilize those carbs for, better fuel. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it well, but it just helps your body have better blood sugar so you're not spiking and tanking. Spiking and tanking is basically what I'm trying to say. Again, you can Google it and get a whole lot more knowledge than I'm going to be able to give you tonight, which is why that probably felt a little bit spotty, but it's because I didn't type a ton of it out. The next thing is meal density. So meal density means how heavy your food is. Examples. If you have a fruit milk protein shake, or you have cottage cheese with fruit, or you have chicken, potatoes, and vegetables. Those three things can have the same, basically like the same macro profile as far as like fats, carbs, proteins, same calorie content, whatever, 800 calories. I don't know. I'm just throwing that number out there. The difference is the way that your body processes and digests those will be entirely different. Your body is going to burn through a shake quickly. Cottage cheese and fruit, it's going to burn through a little bit slower. You'll feel fuller a little bit longer. Chicken, potatoes, and vegetables, it's going to take your body a long time to process that. So eating nutrient-dense meals and dense meals. So nutrient dense meaning you getting good, you can eat a shake that's got lots of nutrients in it, but it might not be dense enough to help you stay full and satiated for a long term, if that makes sense. So it just helps anchor your blood sugar and helps you just feel fuller longer so that your body doesn't feel like it needs to eat. Oh my goodness. Okay, last thing. We talked about if you have been calorie depleted for a long time, right? Your body is also going to be nutrient depleted, meaning minerals and vitamins. I am talking right now as if you have already done the work to heal your gut. If you have not healed your gut, you have leaky gut syndrome. I don't care how many nutrients, vitamins, minerals you're taking, and your body is not able to use them because your gut is not healthy. It cannot do what it's supposed to do. So I am assuming you have done the work to heal your gut. We have plenty of pre-recorded things that you can get referred back to if you need. Whoever invited you and sent you the link, ask them. They'll point you in the direction to do that. So this talk is assuming you've done that work, okay? First of all, you're going to need to do kind of like a reparative phase. You're going to need to double down on vitamins and minerals and basically dope up, for lack of a better word, to kind of beef up your stores are supposed to be you know, a full container and you're barely at a quarter of a container full. You need to load up, stock up to get that container back to full, so you're at least just at baseline. I am not going to be able to give you numbers. I'm not going to be able to tell you how much grams of, you know, magnesium or whatever you need, or milligrams of calcium. That is something you're going to have to do in your own time, but I'm just letting you know you're going to need to have this reparative phase where you're bulking back up on these stores of things that have been depleted for so long. Things that can deplete it, not only is it being like calorie restrictive, other things too. Stress, anytime your body is under stress, mental, physical also can be like overworking out, or working out when, for example, like if you just had a baby and now you're working out, your body's not ready for that. It's too stressed. It's going to strip more of these vitamins and minerals. It's too much. Undereating. If you're sick, anytime you're sick, your body burns through vitamins and minerals like crazy. All of these things will deplete your stores of vitamins and minerals. So just kind of like a random caveat, magnesium, which plays a role in so many health functions, it's crazy, and vitamin C are some of the very first things to be depleted if you are in a long-term stress environment. For example, right after I had my twins, we were really, really stressed out, and I was working out all the time, and my knees hurt so bad. I was like, I've never had joint issues. What's going on? My doctor said, you're stressed. You are burning through too much of your vitamin C. And for whatever reason, that was like affecting my joints. I didn't know why it was vitamin C and not calcium. I don't know. Don't care. Started taking vitamin C, and then my knees didn't hurt anymore. It was the craziest thing. So anyways, if you're wondering what's low and what's depleted, you can go get blood work panels done. You can order them. There's some online. They're a little bit pricey. I think Sarah Jones, I think you've done one before. If you want to like throw a link out, you can get those panels done and kind of see where your number's at and what specifically you need to bulk up on. And so I kind of go based on how I feel. I've never done one of those blood work panels. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of do an aggressive supplementation of like general minerals and vitamins for about a week or two, and just kind of see how my body feels. If I'm starting to feel kind of like nauseous and queasy, I'll kind of back it down a little bit and maybe just, you know, bump up magnesium or bump up calcium or bump up vitamin C and just kind of see what's going on. I just kind of play with it. It's a lot more work, but I just can't shell out the money for a blood work test right now, which is fine. And so I'll double up for a while, and then once I start to feel like a maintained level of good, then I'll start to back it down a little bit and kind of slowly back down to what the recommended dosage is. Example, if I'm sick, I double up on my vitamin D, and as soon as I start feeling better, I'll start doing like every other day, every third day, and then I'll come back to whatever I was taking before being sick. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about some preps that I love for renourishing and or mineralizing or revitamining. And that's going to close us out tonight. So these will actually probably be pretty quick. Just tell you how they work. And that should take us right to an hour. So the first one is mineral essence. Everybody should be taking minerals all the time because our food quality is terrible. Our lifestyles are so stressed out. We're mineral depleted almost always. Most sickness and illness can be traced back to some sort of a mineral depletion. So there you go. There's your motivation. The one I like the most is Mineral Essence. It contains over 60 ionic minerals, iron, zinc, fluorine, boron, sodium, sulfur, magnesium, tons and tons of them. And basically, there's also an addition of essential oils. Anytime there's an addition of essential oils, you increase your body's ability to uptake the vitamin or the mineral that you are introducing. There was a study that showed that if you took a vitamin, you only got like 20% of the vitamin, but if you took the vitamin with if you took the vitamin with an essential oil, it increased your uptake of how much of the vitamin you use by up to 80%. So the introduction of essential oils in your vitamin minerals is amazing for how much more effective it is in your body. So Mineral Essence, that's my favorite one. It's a liquid. I like to put it in a chocolate protein shake and drink it down that way. It tastes amazing. It's kind of like a cinnamony flavor. It's not one that you're going to want to I'll be frank with you. It's a very strong flavor, but in a chocolate shake, it tastes amazing. So Mineral. That's my favorite one for mineral. For vitamin, I really like Master Formula. It's like 4 pills in a packet, and it's like everything you're going to need. It's a full spectrum, multi-nutrient complex. It provides all the vitamins and minerals and food-based nutrients you need to support general health, overall well-being. And again, because it uses essential oils, you're getting more bang for your buck. You could go spend $150 at the store buying vitamin C and calcium and all these other things, take them, but only get 20% of them, or you can buy ones. This Master Formula also has the essential oils. Buy that and know that your body's actually getting up to 80%, if not more, of what you're taking in. This one also has vitamins A, D, E, K2, which are, essential for a lot of bodily functions. There's also turmeric in it, which is great for anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant. So you're kind of getting all of the things, which means you could probably throw away a lot of things you're buying at the store. A lot of people see the price of Master Formula and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to afford that. But I'm like, okay, but you also are not going to have to buy these 7 other things at the drugstore every month. So it's about the same price. Might as well get that. Next one is multi-greens. This one is a whole lot of greens, just like it says. It's basically your daily salad in a bottle. It's got spirulina, alfalfa, sprouts. This one does have gluten in it, so if you are true blue gluten intolerant, you might want to steer clear of this one. Also has bee pollen. It has kelp, which is great for iodine. It's basically just a very nutrient-dense supplement that is great to throw on top of if you're trying to re-nourish. Definitely a good one to throw in the mix. Another one that I love to throw in is Ningxia Red. It's really high in antioxidants. It's got vitamins. It's got minerals. It's got essential oils. It's a little, it's like a red drink. You only need about 1 ounce to 2 ounces a day. Although if you're in like that remineralizing phase, I would say, if you can afford to drink a bottle a day, drink a bottle a day. Your body's going to love you for it. So that would be one that I would add into the mix as well. And these are ones that maybe you're not able to do them all, but if you can pick 1 or 2 to kind of do for a good month or 2, you're going to do your body a favor. And it's one of those things, do you want to pay for your health now, or do you want to have to pay for your health down the road? You know what I mean? Some other things that are not Young Living associated, beef liver. Beef liver is organ meat in general from animals, is supreme for nourishing your body. Bioavailable, also for those of you who don't know, bioavailable just means the ability of your body to utilize what's inside of this. So bioavailable just means how much your body can use of it. And so organ meats have tons of bioavailable nutrients and resources, nutrients and vitamins, minerals, things like copper and vitamin A and retinol, like all of these things. Other things is you can drink waters that are mineral rich. So coconut water is really, really good. It's got good minerals, good electrolytes. You can buy mineral rich water. That's a good way to kind of get some more in. One of my favorite, I'm actually drinking it right now. One of my favorites is AminoWise. It's, you kind of got like your electrolyte mineral complex, but it also has amino acids, which are really great for, amino acids are building blocks for cells. And if you don't have building blocks for cells, you can't make good healthy cells. So I like to drink that one. That's a relatively easy and cheap way to remineralize. And then one of the last ones before I stop and let you guys talk if you need is collagen. This one is great for bones, hair, skin, nails. It's also a little bit higher in protein, which is nice. I also forgot to, bone broth. Bone broth is really good for healing the gut wall, but it also has a lot of good, basically you boil bones for a really, really long time with, there's other things you could throw in like scraps of veggies and stuff. And you just basically like pull out all this really, really rich nutrient stuff into a broth, and then you can just drink the broth, or some people turn it into soups and whatnot. So bone broth is another good place to start mineralizing and renourishing. Okay, and that's it. It's been like 2 minutes over an hour. Sorry, you guys. That was very long. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions, concerns. I don't think I really saw anything in the chat that got missed. So if I did miss it, speak up. Thanks, guys. For people on the recording, they're saying that was really helpful. Thank you. That was good information. Nothing? All right. Clearly, I am just that good. I'm just kidding. Cool. Well, thanks for everybody for being here. It is awesome to see all of you guys. Can I get added to the Facebook group? Don't know if that was directed to me. I don't know if we have a Facebook group for this.